Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel which is Explore Yourself, Banking and General Knowledge, etc. Memoir of my banking journey by Mr. V.H. Ramakrishnan, retired General Manager of Bank of India. Episode number 14. The chapter Delhi Chalo, my experiences as a General Manager is continuing. The link of earlier episodes is available in description. My deputies. It is practically impossible to write about all the officers who worked with me in Delhi. I will refer to them as and when some incidents are narrated. However, I would like to mention about my immediate deputies to enable you to understand the setup and the support mechanism I had. In my tenure of almost 4.5 years, I worked with four joint general managers, AGMs, and four deputy general managers, chief managers. Mr. P.S. Sinoy, S.K. Mitra, I.S. Dosanjh, and A.G. Pradhan worked as JJDMs, and Mr. M. Venugopalan, B.N. Saigal, and Haridas Parikh worked as DJDMs. In fact, when Haridas Parikh was transferred on promotion, the post was also upgraded as JJDM. Of the JJDMs, Sinoy worked with me for more than 2 years. I had already written about the dramatic arrival of Sinoy. He was a great support to me, very knowledgeable, hardworking, and honest officer. He was very meticulous in going through all the IFB proposals. He used to cover every aspect. If he had cleared a proposal, one could sign blindly. On a couple of occasions where I wanted to decline the proposal recommended by him due to business reasons, I would call him and explain the reasons to him. He used to accept the decisions gracefully. More than his efficiency in work, he was a simple person with excellent manners. Once we had ordered a new car to replace his car, which had become old. Of course, it was a non-air conditioned ambassador. He refused to use the car and insisted that any new car should go to the general manager. I could not convince him. He took my car and gave me the new car. He was occupying S72 GK1 owned by the bank. When I had to hack at my house as the bank did not agree for an increase demanded by the landlord, he voluntarily offered to hack at S72 and requested me to move into the bank's own house. He moved into the Defense Colony house, which was not in great shape at that time. Sinha had original thinking and ideas. I was sure he would reach a high position in the bank. Many of you may know that he retired as chairman of Bank of Baroda. On a couple of occasions, when I met him, he would insist on coming up the lift to see me off. As far as I am concerned, he was the same humble Sinha. He treated me as if I was still his boss. S.K. Mitra was another meticulous officer. He had worked in Japan in his younger days. While working in Tokyo, he went to the chief executive one morning and told him that one of the best clerks in his department, a girl, is going to resign. The chief executive was surprised and shocked. He told Mitra that he would persuade her to continue. Then Mitra told him that it cannot be done as they were getting married. Yes, Mitra is happily married to a Japanese lady. He was staying above me on the first floor of S72. We were surprised to find Mrs. Mitra speaking stage Hindi with vegetable vendors, servants, etc. His children used to even sing Hindi songs. Mr. Dosanjh came with a reputation. He had worked in the northwestern region and the posting to Delhi. If I am not mistaken, was his first posting outside his home zone. A bold Sardarji in the days when Punjab was in the grip of terrorists, he had the courage to go into places under the control of terrorists on bank's business. A no-nonsense person, staff would think twice before crossing his path. I found, I found him to be very courteous and knowledgeable. His reputation helped him a lot. Whenever there was any problem in a branch, he would take my permission to personally visit the branch to sort out the issues. The moment the branch heard that Dusanj was on his way, the problem would get resolved. It was like Sri T.M. Session, as election commissioner, visiting a polling station. I had already written about Mr. Venugopalan and Mr. Saigal. Haridas Parikh was very good in public relations, but it was an internal public relations. Hailing from Varanasi, he knew many of the top executives and his PR was more towards them. Whenever an executive visited Delhi, Parikh would get very excited. An old style banker, he once asked me about having morning meetings over a cup of tea like head office. I told him that there was no need to have morning meetings as we do not have any policy matters to discuss. We might end up talking gossip. It is enough if we clear the files first. I said I could always call the deputy if there were any major developments. I knew a general manager who used to hold morning meetings for over 1 hour and again another evening meeting for over 1 hour to review the progress. I felt it was just a waste of time and energy at general level. Morning meetings at HO are of a different nature and are very essential. I shall write about them when I write about my head office days. A.G. Pradhan was a very pleasant person. Even though he joined as an agriculture officer, he had later opted for the mainstream banking. Once I had a slight problem with one of my deputies. Some of the files were not moving from his table even after a week. When I was told about this, I called him and told him, "You are very good in studying the credit proposal. I am very comfortable. Any proposal reaching your table should be cleared first. But if you are not able to decide on the proposal, keep it with you for 48 hours. After that, if you are not able to decide, just bring it to me. We will discuss and decide on the proposal." After this, there was no delay. Why I am narrating this is because I have heard some executives saying that if the proposal comes to their table, they would clear it immediately, but they would not interfere with the flow until it comes to their table. I believe that an executive should also ensure that the papers are not held back by his deputies beyond a reasonable time. If you give them a comfort, they would act first. There was also a funny incident with one of the above executives. Somehow he had a habit of talking with, as they say, foot in his mouth. One day he was doing a round of zonal office and he stopped before a lady officer's table. He suddenly asked in a loud voice, not angrily, why she was not supporting it in the. Obviously, she was shocked at this personal question. She mumbled something and then went to the association to complain. Mr. Batra, the general secretary, came to me, a very polite person, with a smile and told me about the incident. In fact, we both laughed in the end. I told him that I would advise the executive suitably. I called the executive and told him these are personal matters about which you should not comment. He replied, I agree, sir, but she is a Hindu. Now I had to tell him that still it was a personal matter. He went back, not fully convinced that he had asked the wrong question. Thank God this happened in 90s. If it was today, all the feminine activists would have graved him. Restrictions on mobility. There is restrictions on the mobility of Delhi zonal manager. This I learned the hard way. At a cost of almost rupees 10,000, I was on a visit to Udaipur and nearby branches in Rajasthan. I had planned a two-night stay. I travelled by train and had taken my wife and daughter who was on vacation. I always believed in business come pleasure. From Udaipur, I had gone to another branch. When I returned to Udaipur around 4 p.m., the manager told me that there was a call from the executive director, Mr. A.T. Paneerselvam. I immediately returned the call. He was curt and clear. How can you travel out of Delhi when the parliament is in session? I told him the PR was always in touch with ministry in case they needed any information. He replied, what you need as a zonal manager in Delhi and not PRO? Call me from Delhi at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. He kept the phone down. I cut short my trip, much to the disappointment of my family, booked ourselves, needless to say, family tickets at my cost. No non-frill airlines those days. For early morning flight, I called the AD at 10 a sharp. Now he has all his smiles and said, that is what I wanted. Lesson I learned. It is not enough if you are fast. The same tempo should be there from down the line. You should become an enabler. Delhi JDM should not move out of Delhi if Parliament is in session. But there was never any occasion on which my services were required by the banking division during this session. Tell peace. Whenever you go to South Block or North Block, the chaprasis will be after you for some boxes. One day someone told me that if you wear a suit, they know you are a visitor. But if you go in a slightly crumpled slack or bust skirt and equally crumpled trousers, they will think you are a joint secretary and will not bother you. Welcome to Rajasthan. No, Delhi experiences are not over. Let me remind you that in those days, Rajasthan was part of northern region. That was a big bonus for the general manager, who will get such an opportunity to visit the various parts of that colorful state with a rich cultural heritage. Where else you can find so many erstwhile kingdoms and palaces full of architectural beauty? Anyway, I am not writing a travelogue, so I will be brief about the beauty of Rajasthan and try to dwell more on people and events. We had good presence in Rajasthan. Ganganagar in the north, Udaipur in the south, Jodhpur in the west, and Bharatpur in the east. In between, many branches were located in various towns and rural areas. I decided that just like Delhi, I should also visit all the branches in Rajasthan. The staff in Rajasthan used to feel the regional manager was only interested in Delhi. I wanted to dispel that impression. I was told that years back, when Mr. Jatekakar was the general manager, he had visited all the branches. I am happy to mention here that I could visit all the branches during my tenure except only one remote rural branch, which would have taken 2 working days to go and come back. Needless to say that I enjoyed every minute of my visit to Rajasthan. I utilized the opportunity to visit the various tourist spots, the lakes in Udaipur, sand dunes of Jaisalmer, havelis in various towns, palaces in Jaipur, Sariska Tiger Reserve, etc. etc. The temples that I cannot forget, the Nathdwara, it is supposed to be the richest temple after Tirupati, and Karni Mata temple near Bikaner. The latter was famous for the rats, estimated as 20,000, which live within the temple. They literally run over you. You have to take slow steps, as otherwise you may step over them. They say good things will happen to you if you sight a white rat. I tried my best but could not see any white rat. Many of you might have heard about the Lake Palace Hotel of Udaipur. It is in the midst of a big lake. You will get a feeling as if you are in a ship. It is also an architectural beauty. I never dreamed that one day I would stay there. This did not happen during my tenure as JDM. Later, as General Manager International, I became a director of Indo-Zambia Bank Limited. We had a board meeting in India and the then chief executive of Indo-Zambia Bank. I am not sure whether it was Mr. Gupta or Alok Mishra fixed Lake Palace Hotel as the venue. The hotel was managed by Taj Group. I had the good company of Mr. S. Gopalakrishnan, GM Bank of Baroda. He later became ED Bank of India and CMD Vijaya Bank. And Mr. V.K. Chopra, GM Central Bank of India, later retired as CMD of Corporation Bank. Thanks to that bank, we all had a gala time. Rajasthan had shortage of officer staff. There was an agreement with the Association on Deputation of Officers from Delhi. Unfortunately, many officers used to take all types of leave, including sick leave, to reduce the duration of being out of Delhi. Besides, every week and they would rush to Delhi. I discussed with the association who suggested some changes, including reduction in duration from their 3 to a lesser period. I reached an agreement with them on the assurance that the officers should not again use all sorts of leave. This was adhered to. Meanwhile, promotions from clerical cadre were very good in Rajasthan. I could foresee that within 3 to 4 years the shortage would be over. When I took charge, it was known as Jaipur region. I got the name changed to Rajasthan region. This gave a psychological satisfaction to the staff. There were about 35 branches. Now I understand that there are more than 130 branches and there are two zones, Jodhpur and Jaipur. Even though I had basic knowledge of Hindi, I could not deliver an extempore speech. I found that in Rajasthan, unless I communicated in Hindi, the staff would not be able to follow my speech. Initially, I used to ask the Hindi officer in Delhi to write down in Hindi a translation of my speech. I used to memorize the same and speak. Then gradually I could speak in Hindi without notes. This gave me a great dissatisfaction. I have to mention a funny incident. Once I had visited Jaipur along with the then ED Mr. Jatekaukar. We reached Sheraton Hotel around 7 a.m. While checking in, the receptionist asked our dates of birth. The ED gave his date of birth. I told her April 13. He got annoyed. She told me, Sir, I am not asking you today's date. I am asking for your date of birth. I told her I am telling you my date of birth only. Then it struck her. She exclaimed, Oh my God, is it your birthday today? I said, Yes, madam. Now that you know it is my birthday, what do you propose to do? She said she would definitely do something. We checked in. Later in the evening, around 5 p.m., we returned to the hotel after the manager's meet. When I opened the door of my room, I found that there was a big, beautiful, well decorated cake on the table with a lovely greeting card. What a fine gesture by Sheraton. I cannot forget that moment. Luckily, we had a few senior officers and managers along with the regional manager at the hotel. Immediately, one Mr. Jain, a very enterprising officer at RO, organized a circle of chairs in the lawn. The ED also came down and we all had a portion of the cake. A visit to Jaipur was not complete without a visit to Batra's house. Batra was the General Secretary of the Officers Association of Rajasthan unit. Mrs. Batra was a great culinary expert. She was innovative and used to make exotic items. I can never forget the wonderful snap made by her. She did not copy from anywhere. It was her own recipe. I wish she had taken a patent. There were quite a few regional managers during my tenure. They were MSKK Chopra, Sarbat Chand Jain, who retired as GM. He is an expert in stock market operations, including derivatives. B.A. Vyas, J.J. Shukla, and Mihir Saha. Mr. Mihir Saha was from Odisha. He was regional manager of Keonjhar region before moving to Jaipur. A very well-learned man. He used to read a lot. Somehow he was not able to adjust himself to the culture of Rajasthan. An interesting thing happened during his time. We had fixed a board meeting in Jaipur. Everything was well organized. The meeting was held in a five-star hotel. Sai and I were in the hotel. The meeting started. Immediately the board secretary came out and told me that the board wanted the regional manager to make representations about the region. I looked around. Sai was nowhere to be seen. Then one of the officers told me that he had gone back to office. I had no other alternative. I entered the boardroom and apologized for the absence of the RM and made an impromptu presentation about the region and its business. Luckily, the board was in a good mood and appreciated the work done in the region. I came out. By that time, someone had gone and faced Saha. I asked him as to why he went to the office without even telling me. He said, They advised me that I should not be there once the board meeting commences. So I went away. He never revealed who they were. It did not even strike him that he had to inform me. A simple man just believed what he was told. Lessons I learned. Communication skill is very essential for an executive. Try to learn the local language. Never postpone the opportunity of seeing places of interest. The bank may suddenly transfer you, and then you will regret that you had not seen any many places. Tell this. This is an old joke. Maybe many of you might have read it. Two lions escaped from Delhi Zoo. One went to the forest, another went to the Delhi Secretariat. They met after 6 months. The one which went to the forest looked very thin and lean. The one which went to the Secretariat was very healthy and had put on a substantial weight. They exchanged words. The lean lion said, I could not enough prey in the forest. Half the time I was starving. The healthy lion said, I had no problem. I used to hide behind the staircase in the secretariat. Whenever an undersecretary passed me, I used to have him for lunch. Since there were so many undersecretaries, no one noticed that a few were missing. A correction. I had mentioned earlier that S.C. Jain, not Sarbat Chand Jain, was the regional manager when I took charge, and he was replaced by K.B. Antia. In fact, they held the position of manager Jaipur branch and not regional manager. Acknowledgement. My thanks to Mr. Virendra Batra for providing me the names of all the regional managers of Rajasthan during my tenure. Amongst the regional managers, I have to mention about B.A. Vyas. When Bank of India Finance was set up, he was there along with Mr. B.D. Saptarshi. The latter was the chief executive. In 1989, when I returned from Nigeria, I was appointed as Joint Chief Executive of Bank of India Finance Limited. Has had an excellent relationship with brokers. Later on, when the mutual fund was set up, he was appointed as the chief executive. He was the chief manager then. I also took over from Saptarshi as chief executive. I was on AGM. Raj did a great job in building of the mutual fund. The mutual fund industry was in a nascent stage. The concept of fund managers had not developed. Mr. Vyas was the fund manager for all the schemes as well as the CE. He had one problem. He would not delegate things. He did everything himself. We are on the same floor in two adjacent wings. I found him working late in the night every day. Once when I met the general manager in charge of subsidiaries, I told him that Vyas was straining himself too much. I also pointed out that Vyas was managing over rupees 600 crores. If the business figures of a branch crossed rupees 100 crores, we used to appoint an assistant general manager. I suggested to him that either he should appoint an AGM or DGM or should give Vyas a couple of more officers. He listened patiently and promised to do something. Unfortunately, no action was taken. After a couple of months, one afternoon, Vyas walked into my room and said he was having chest pain. He attributed it to taking some aspirin in an empty stomach in the morning. Within seconds, he started sweating. His car was not there. Luckily, I had my car and driver. I immediately sent him in my car with two officers to Bombay Hospital. He had his first heart attack. Luckily, he survived. Then, for the next three months, the mutual fund was managed by his deputy, Miss Usha Narayanan, with monitoring by me. Usha later joined SEBI and retired as executive director. Vyas reported back to mutual fund and then he was transferred to Rajasthan as regional manager. A few months after his retirement, he had another cardiac arrest and passed away. Hidden talent comes to light. After the general managers conference at head office, it was the practice to hold managers conference, one in Delhi and another in Jaipur. At one such meeting at Jaipur, I also reviewed the performance of the branches. One rural branch, Nyota, near Jaipur, stood out with very good performances. No pending returns, reached all targets. The young man who was the manager impressed me with his responses. I told him that I would visit his branch the next day. This was not in my original schedule. Next morning, I reached the branch around 11 a.m. along with the regional manager. It was an old building. What impressed me first was that all the two-wheelers were parked in an orderly way. Once we entered the branch, we found everything spick and span. The name of the manager was Rajkumar Mitra. He was quite excited as he never expected that I would really visit the branch. He introduced all the staff with a few special words about each and every one. While introducing a sub-staff, he even mentioned that he was good in recovering NPS. In due course, Mitra got promoted and was transferred to Madhya Pradesh zone. A few months later, the head office called for recommendations for foreign training. I sat with Mr. R.C. Khurana, my chief officer personnel, about whom I will write later, to shortlist the names. Then an idea struck me. I told Khurana to get me the names of officers who were transferred within the last 12 months out of my zone. At that time, Mitra was not in my mind. This was my experiment number 10. The logic was that the new general manager might not know fully about the officers who had moved into his zone recently. In the list, I found the name of Rajkumar Mitra. I recommended his name and wrote to head office that since I knew about this officer better than the MP general manager, my recommendations should be taken into account. To my pleasant surprise, the head office accepted my recommendation and selected him for London training. I also made it a practice every year to get a list of officers who went out of my zone during the previous 12 months for recommending them for foreign posting or training. When I moved to head office and took charge as GM International, I had operations to check up about Mitra with the CE European branches, who gave a very good report. When he returned back to India after his training, I did something unusual. Jaipur never had any good forex officer. There was tremendous scope for forex business in Jaipur, and I felt that posting a local officer like Mitra would be beneficial to the bank. So I got him posted there. In principle, I am against an officer going back to the home zone after foreign posting or training. I made an exception for the sake of Jaipur and not for the sake of Mitra. In fact, Mitra never requested me for any posting favors. It was a surprise to him. Then I took a commitment from him that he would do his best to improve business. Mitra was in touch with me. I retired in 2001. When he spoke to me after my retirement, I advised him that he should move out of Jaipur if he wanted to go up the ladder. In due course, he was posted to International Department. After a couple of years, when I met Mr. S. A. Bhatt, GM International, he told me that he was very happy with Mitra's performance. Later, Mitra got selected for another foreign stint, this time to New York. Why I am narrating this is because I feel it is the duty of an executive not only to identify talent, but also to take the role of a mentor to ensure that his ward reaches a good position. This does not mean that he should interfere with promotion process. He should give the necessary guidance to the young officers. If he does not listen to your advice, do not get annoyed. He may have his own reasons, but continue as a mentor. Being mentor does not mean you should always say nice things. When one of the officers whom I was mentoring on my own, though he never worked with me, took a decision to opt for a training college posting, I took him to task as I felt he had not yet proved himself in the operations field. He took it in the right spirit and continues to keep in touch with me. Luckily, he has now risen to a very senior position. Unfortunately, many executives think of their position and promotion only. I knew one executive in the 80s. He used to keep a paper in his wallet which showed how many were above him and their retirement dates. He would keep on updating it, but when came to giving marks for APR, he would rate even the best officers as average. If you ask him the reasons, he would say he does not have executive quality. With this approach, how can you develop a cadre? Coming back to Mitra, he is now DGM and General Manager of Ahmedabad Zone. I am sure with age on his side, he would become not only a GM but even beyond that. I wish him all the best. A lesson in protocol. Back to Delhi. Once both the chairman, Mr. Dhawatre, and the executive director, Mr. Paneerselvam, were in Delhi. After dinner, I dropped them at Le Meridian. We were all in same car. I got down from the car and was about to say good night to the chairman. Suddenly, the ED pulled me aside and whispered in my ear in Chennai Tamil, the translation of which was, "He is the chairman. You should go with him up to his room. Then only you should say good night to him." That was a good advice. This reminds me about another incident which happened later. When I was general manager, I attended a board meeting in Bangalore. Mr. Katuria was the chairman. At around 8 a.m. on the day of the board meeting, there was a knock on the door of the chairman's room. He was about to go to bath and he thought it might be a hotel attendant and opened the door. He was in his bathroom. A Skill 3 officer working in Bangalore was outside and requested an audience with the chairman. Mr. Katuria, being a very nice person, called him inside and listened to his problem, which was regarding either his promotion or transfer. I am unable to recollect. He later on narrated this incident laughingly. If I am right, Mr. B. R. Parsasarthi, who was the regional manager at Bangalore, gave a dressing down to the officer later. The same officer who hailed from Chennai also called on me when I was in Mumbai. He chose to come to my house without prior intimation. Even though I did not have the patience of Mr. Katuria, I received him and listened to his grievances. Then, after another 6 months, he again came on Sunday evening without any prior appointment. He asked me whether he was disturbing me. I told him, to be frank, you are disturbing me. We spend 6 days a week in the office. One day is reserved for the family and other commitments. I would have appreciated if you had given me a ring. I would have gladly met you in the office even after 6 p.m. Please do not do this with other executives. Sometimes you have to give a better pill to cure a disease. Out of courtesy, I spent some 15 minutes with him. Lessons had learned. Do not wait for an incident to happen. Take action when you get signals. Be a mentor to bright officers. Ensure that they progress well in the bank. Follow the protocol while dealing with executives. Tell peace. A German banker used to visit Delhi every 6 months. He used to call me along with a few other bankers and businessmen for dinner. He would discuss the banking scenario and about the Indian economy. After about 2 years and after four such dinners, I asked him whether he had done any business in India. He said, quote, Mr. Ramakrishnan, no. So far I have not done any business. Indians normally prefer doing business with friends. I am trying to become friendly with people. I am not in a hurry. Once people know me and about my bank, well, I will do business. It was an interesting observation about doing business with Indians. The chapter Delhi Chalo, my experiences as a journal manager is continuing. Thank you very much for your patience. Request for like, subscribe and share please.